Day 1 of the São Paulo Grand Prix reaffirmed McLaren's position as the benchmark of late-season form. Lando Norris secured pole position for sprint qualifying with 2 tidy, precise laps, while Oscar Piastri had to settle for third, 0.185 seconds adrift of his teammate and behind Mercedes' Kimi Antonelli. On paper, that difference looks marginal, but in the context of a championship now separated by a single point, even such small gaps mark a shifting balance of momentum. Piastri described his performance as an improvement after 2 difficult weekends in Austin and Mexico. "The soft tyre here felt a bit different from what I expected," he said. "There were a few big moments on the first lap, but overall it was much better than before." Andrea Stella, McLaren's team principal, explained that the disparity between his 2 drivers was more about circuit characteristics and tyre behaviour than anything internal within the team. Yet the data suggests a familiar pattern. Norris can bring the tyres up to temperature faster and maintain a more stable car on entry, something that has remained a consistent advantage since the United States. With heavy rain forecast in Sao Paulo and the sprint race potentially chaotic, Piastri's window to close the gap appears increasingly narrow. Will this weekend become the turning point for Piastri's title challenge, or the beginning of Norris's undisputed run towards the crown? Before we dig deeper, please subscribe to the channel and enable notifications, so you don't miss the full post-sprint analysis when the dust or rain settles. In raw numbers, the margin between them is minimal, but the momentum isn't. Piastri's 6-month spell at the top of the Drivers' Championship ended last time out in Mexico City. After leading by 34 points over Norris and 104 over Max Verstappen in August, his advantage evaporated across 5 rounds in which Norris consistently outperformed him and Verstappen recovered significant ground. Norris now leads the standings by a single point. Verstappen trails by 36, and what looked like a calm McLaren 1-2 has transformed into a volatile 3-way fight. The shift in form has naturally drawn scrutiny. Jos Verstappen, speaking to De Telegraph, suggested Piastri, or his manager Mark Webber, should bang a fist on the table inside McLaren to ensure equal footing. It was a comment that exposed the invisible politics of a 2-car title fight. When both drivers are contenders, equal treatment in policy rarely translates to equal conditions in practice. Piastri refused to engage in the noise. "We're always very open with each other in terms of what we think," he explained. "Whether we think things have been fair, whether the right decisions have been made, and from that side of things we can stand up for ourselves. I feel very comfortable doing that," he added more reflectively. "It's obviously a difficult dynamic when 2 cars in the same team are fighting for a championship that only one can win. There will naturally be difficulties, but I respect the team for letting us both fight. That composure is typical Piastri, logical, understated, almost disarmingly calm. But in a sport where perception drives momentum as much as lap time, composure alone doesn't win arguments or championships." Inside McLaren, Norris's recent form has made him the natural reference point. Even if development is shared, direction tends to follow the driver delivering the results. Stella, for his part, insists there is no imbalance. He attributed Piastri's struggles to a combination of track surface, tyre compound, and the car's interaction with low grip conditions. Indeed, the recent run of circuits, Austin, Mexico City, and now Interlagos, have all magnified that weakness. McLaren's MCL38 thrives when the front tyres bite sharply. Norris's aggressive trail-braking style suits that perfectly. Piastri, by contrast, prefers a smoother rotation and more progressive response, leaving him fractionally out of sync with the car's peak behaviour when grip is limited. Piastri has been frank about that adaptation curve. "Austin and Mexico are quite different to most of the tracks we've been to," he said. "With the softest tyres, you have to drive differently all the time in a way I haven't had to all year. I've been trying to understand what I need to shift to. That's been the biggest learning curve." That honesty captures the essence of his current phase. Not crisis, but calibration. The Australian's rookie calm and data-driven approach have served him well, but a mid-season car that evolved faster than his instincts has temporarily unsettled that harmony. The car hasn't become undrivable, it's simply moved closer to Norris's comfort zone. Still, even small misalignments can snowball at this level. In Austin, Piastri's inability to generate immediate front-end response cost him time in Sector 1. In Mexico, the pattern repeated. Stella called it a learning process. And while Piastri's tone remains measured, the loss of rhythm has real implications for the championship fight. Every 10th counts when the title margin is a single point. The weather may yet redefine everything. The National Institute of Meteorology predicts between 50 and 100 millimeters of rain across Saturday, with gusts exceeding 80 kilometers per hour and potential hail. For a sprint weekend, that's a logistical nightmare. The sprint must finish 3 hours before qualifying, and daylight in Sao Paulo fades early. If conditions deteriorate, the sprint could be delayed, shortened, or cancelled entirely. Only 12 of 24 laps are required for half points. 2 must be under green flags. Formula One's regulations leave little flexibility. The sport can postpone sessions, but the risk of flooding, lightning, or reduced visibility is real. It happened before. Last season's chaotic Brazilian weekend forced F1 to rearrange sessions to beat the weather. The difference this time is that the forecast covers the entire Saturday window. For Piastri, chaos may be both risk and opportunity. His smooth throttle inputs and measured steering could help in treacherous conditions, especially if the sprint starts on intermediates or wets. But if the race turns into a lottery of timing and track position, raw pace might matter less than survival. Meanwhile, Verstappen remains unbothered. "There's no pressure for me," he said. "Even if I don't win it, I know I drove a really good season. To still be in this fight after being over 100 points behind is already remarkable." It's a statement that carries quiet menace. He's the hunter with nothing to lose. Verstappen also noted that McLaren's two-driver dynamic could be a distraction. "Maybe there's a little distraction at McLaren between the two drivers," he said, "but they still have a very fast car. Give me that distraction if it comes with the fastest car." That remark cuts to McLaren's internal challenge. Stella's leadership is founded on openness, but the emotional strain of a dual title fight can test even the most transparent structure. To this point, the team has handled the tension admirably. But the longer the fight remains internal, the harder it becomes to balance freedom with pragmatism. Piastri's path to recovery, therefore, isn't political, it's performance-based. He doesn't need to bang fists or demand parity. He needs a clean weekend that restores trust in his own execution. That's how he neutralises the noise. Norris's comments after sprint qualifying reflected the quiet confidence of a driver at ease. "It's a combination of me trying to be a better driver and adapting better to whatever the car gives me," he said. "Sometimes what you want might take 2 years. Sometimes you can push it and have it next race." That adaptability, coupled with consistent results, has turned Norris from challenger to de facto leader within McLaren. The irony is that Piastri has been the model of consistency himself. 16 podiums from the first 18 races kept him at the top for half a season. The difference now isn't reliability, it's connection. Norris is driving from instinct, Piastri from adjustment. In Formula One, that half second of subconscious confidence can decide championships. The coming sprint and the storm surrounding it may reset that balance. Interlagos has a history of exposing the mental and mechanical edge in title fights. The track's undulation, short laps, and shifting grip create conditions where instinctive feel outweighs simulation precision. In 2025's compressed calendar, there's no luxury of gradual learning. Should rain hit as predicted, chaos will invite opportunity. Cars aquaplaning, strategy windows collapsing, safety car timing dictating results, all familiar traits of Brazilian drama. For Piastri, this is less about gambling and more about staying calm when others overreach. If he emerges with a strong result, the championship narrative could pivot again. In the broader context, this weekend is McLaren's most critical operational test of the season. Managing two title-contending drivers demands clarity. Any miscommunication, Pit timing, tyre selection, even radio phrasing can tilt internal dynamics irreversibly. Piastri's professionalism makes him low maintenance, but his quietness also risks invisibility in moments of uncertainty. The technical staff have already downplayed talk of favouritism, insisting that both drivers receive identical specifications and strategic autonomy. Still, perception lingers. Norris's back-to-back surges and his clear influence in feedback loops inevitably give him a louder voice. Piastri's job is to reclaim presence not by protest but by performance. There's also the looming question of Verstappen. His resurgence since the Italian Grand Prix, wins in Monza, Baku and Austin, plus podiums in Singapore and Mexico, has closed the once impossible gap. The Dutchman's psychological strength, as Timo Glock observed, makes him the toughest competitor in all conditions. Ralf Schumacher added that Brazil could be decisive if Verstappen strikes back. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, watching from a distance, expects the title to stay within McLaren. Either Norris or Piastri will win it, he said, though even he admitted the Australian now faces the harder route, all of which leaves Sao Paulo as the ultimate filter. Every element, weather, setup sensitivity, tyre preparation, intra-team balance, converges here. McLaren's car is fast enough to win. The question is whether its equilibrium can survive the weight of expectation. For Piastri, the mission is clear. He doesn't need to dominate the weekend, only to reassert control. If he matches Norris in equal conditions, the discussion about bias fades. If not, perception hardens into belief. Within a team as finely tuned as McLaren, those intangibles matter as much as the stopwatch. As the clouds gather over Interlagos, every storyline tightens. Verstappen hunts from distance. Norris carries the confidence of form. Piastri, analytical yet determined, faces the challenge of proving that calm intellect can still beat momentum. By Sunday night, the storm will pass, literally or metaphorically. What remains could define not only this championship, but McLaren's future direction. The rain might equalise performance, or it might magnify the fault lines already forming.